History is filled with incredible stories, some inspiring, some tragic, and some downright horrifying. Today we're diving into 5 creepy historical facts that you might not know. If you're easily spooked, you may want to turn away. In any case, let's get into it. Let's start off with number 5. A nightmare no one wants to imagine: being buried alive. Before modern medicine, it wasn't uncommon for people to be declared dead by mistake. In fact, this happened so often that safety coffins were invented. These coffins had bells or breathing tubes installed, so the not-so-dead could call for help. Imagine waking up in total darkness, only to realize you're 6 feet under. In 1896, Octavia Hatcher, a young mother from Pikeville, Kentucky, fell into a deep, unexplained coma shortly after the death of her infant son. Doctors, unable to wake her, eventually declared her dead. In the warm spring weather, her burial was rushed, as embalming was not common at the time. Heartbroken, her husband, James Hatcher, laid her to rest in a simple coffin. Days later, a strange phenomenon swept through Pikeville. Other residents began falling into similar coma-like states, but unlike Octavia, they eventually woke up. Realizing that she might have been buried alive, James arranged for her grave to be exhumed. What he found was horrifying. Octavia had indeed regained consciousness in her coffin. The interior was scratched and torn, and her fingernails were bloodied from her desperate attempts to escape. She had tragically died alone and terrified. Coming in at number 4, the dead ringer myth. The phrase supposedly comes from those safety coffins we talked about earlier, where people used a bell to signal they were alive. While the origins of the term are debated, the fear of premature burial was very real. In one bizarre case, a 19th century man named Edgar Allan Poe was so obsessed with this fear that it inspired many of his stories, including The Premature Burial. Makes you wonder just how close we've all come to being buried before our time. Coming in at number 3, the chilling reality of asylums in the 19th and early 20th centuries. These places weren't the therapeutic centers we think of today. Patients were often subjected to horrifying treatments, like ice baths, lobotomies, and electroshock therapy, all in the name of curing mental illness. Some asylums, like the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia, were so overcrowded that patients were forced to sleep on floors. These institutions became notorious for abuse, and many believe they're still haunted by the souls of those who suffered there. Coming in at number 2, dead body snatching. In the 1800s, medical schools needed cadavers for research, but there weren't enough legal ways to get them. So, grave robbers stepped in to fill the demand, digging up freshly buried bodies under the cover of darkness. Things got so bad that some families installed iron cages, called mort safes, over their loved ones' graves to stop thieves. And if that wasn't creepy enough, some body snatchers turned to murder to keep up with demand, like the infamous Burke and Hare in Scotland. And finally, our number 1 pick, the terrifying plague doctors of the 17th century, with their eerie bird-like masks and dark attire, became haunting symbols of the fight against the Black Death. Their masks, filled with herbs and spices, were designed to protect against miasma, the foul air believed to spread disease. The long beak also served as a primitive form of social distancing. Their wax-coated clothing and gloves aimed to shield them from infection, while their canes allowed them to examine patients from a distance. Despite their intimidating appearance, plague doctors had limited medical knowledge and could offer little more than basic care, often serving as record keepers or body collectors. Their image endures as a stark reminder of humanity's struggle against ignorance and disease. History isn't always pretty, and sometimes the most chilling stories come from real life. These creepy facts remind us how far we've come, and how much we never want to go back. Thank you for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to stay tuned for more spine-chilling content. Until next time, stay curious and keep an eye out for the things that lurk in the shadows.